shore your immune system up, it's naturally going to do exactly what it's supposed to do. When the immune system is broken down, when it's confused, when it's not working for you, and when you're not supporting it, those soldiers are not going to work for you. And in fact, we're seeing an uptick in autoimmune conditions the last few years because essentially your soldiers are working against you.
Dr. Amie Hornaman is with us. Dr. Amie Hornaman is known as the thyroid fixer. She is a prominent figure in the field of thyroid and hormone optimization. She hosts the globally recognized podcast, The Thyroid Fixer, which has become a leading voice in medicine and alternative health. As the founder of the Better Thyroid and Hormone Institute, Dr. Amie advocates for the principle that better thyroid and hormone health equates to a better life. In addition to her educational efforts, Dr. Amie has developed the Fixer supplement line, a range of groundbreaking supplements designed to address the common health issues she observed in her patients, such as difficulties with weight management, fatigue, hormone imbalances, and more. These products, alongside her personalized one-on-one programs, form the core of her mission to restore health and vitality to her clients worldwide. Amie, thank you so much for joining us. It's so great to see you, and I greatly appreciate your time.
My pleasure, Jess. My pleasure.
Amie, let's just start out a little bit. Will you tell us about your first introduction to C60? How did you hear about it?
Well, the first time I ever heard about it was through your company. We met at an event and I was completely intrigued, of course, because when you start diving into what is C60 and what can it do, it piqued my interest because I knew this could apply and be helpful to so many of my patients, from, the hair loss, the inflammation, the aging aspect, the sore joints. I mean, you name it, I see it in my patients. So that immediately piqued my interest when I met you, when I heard about it, when I dove into the science of C60. And then I really haven't turned back. I recommend it quite often. I know we're going to talk about that, but that really was my initial peak of interest.
So will you tell me a little bit about your personal journey with it? So when you started with C60, what were some of the things that you noticed? And I'm really curious about, like, how long did it take for you to notice some sort of benefit?
Yeah, absolutely. So my personal story, I have scoliosis and I have an S curve. I had surgery when I was younger. So a lot of lumbar back pain for where the curve is. And I do different treatments and whatnot, get massages. But what I noticed, and this was crazy, it used to be that I would have to go for a massage at least once a month, preferably twice a month, to keep everything loose and to really keep from being locked down in pain. And when I started using C60, I noticed that I had gone like 2 and 3 months without a massage. And I would pause and I would check in and go, wait a minute, I'm not in pain. I don't hurt. So the inflammation and the pain in my body significantly reduced. So I noticed that. I also noticed it more recently when my back went into a crazy spasm. I literally took probably a third to a half a bottle of C60. And within a day, that inflammation was gone. I was feeling tremendously better. And then back up a little bit, my hair. So I know it's really big for hair loss, and I recommend it to many of my patients that are experiencing hair loss. Now, even my own hair goes through its own cycles, right? So sometimes it'll freak out, it'll dry out, it'll break off for reasons I can't even explain. I know my thyroid's balanced. I know my hormones are balanced. It's not that. So that's when I'll start upping my C60 dose and literally see it come back to life. It's a pretty cool thing when you can notice it in yourself.
Wow, that's cool. Now, Amie, a lot of feedback that we get from people within the first 30, 60 days is an increase in energy and mental clarity. Did you notice any subtle changes in your cognitive function or your ability to perform at a different level once you started incorporating it into your morning routine?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Because I think we all get that 2 p.m. slump,
Mhm.
where no matter what you're doing, your eyes start to get like really heavy around 2 o'clock. The couch starts looking really good. but you know, you can't stop. You're busy, you're working, you're an entrepreneur, whatever you're doing, you're running around. And I noticed that heavy eye 2 p.m. thing wasn't happening to me. And again, it's this really, you almost have to tune into your body and remember how you were before, because it's this gradual improvement. It's not like one day the lights are turned on. It's this gradual improvement to where you stop and you go, oh, wait a minute. I used to be whatever it is, tired, fatigued, in pain, and now I'm not. And what is the one thing that I changed? And then when you can trace it back to, I added in C60, I got consistent with it. I'm taking it every day. I give it to my dog. So I put it in my coffee. I put it in his food. We share it. And so when you can trace it back and notice those changes, that's when you really put two and two together that it's helping.
That's great. At what point did you decide, hey, this is working for me, I'm going to incorporate it into my protocol for my thyroid patients?
I knew pretty much with my own experience in that month 2 to 3. I had done enough research, went down the science rabbit hole to know that with my patients with elevated C-reactive protein, elevated ferritin, markers of inflammation, high FSH, like, let's bring this in to calm down their bodies. And then, of course, symptomatically, those experiencing the hair loss, inflammation, pain, joint pain, brain fog, low energy, low immune system, we'll bring that in anecdotally to what they're reporting, but then we'll also bring it in for the markers that we see in their labs that need addressed.
It sounds like you're testing before and after with C60.
We are doing testing for sure. Sometimes it is just, hey, you have this symptom, let's add this in.
Okay.
And other times it's this glaring red flag on their tests of inflammation that we go, okay, we have to add this in because we need to address this.
Okay, great. What in general, if you can say, if you're getting any feedback from your patients? I know it's hard when you've got a whole protocol and they're taking 10 to 15 and maybe 25 different pills or supplements, and you're having them do different things. One thing I'm curious about is if you're getting anecdotally any kind of feedback about C60 in particular when you add it into the protocol.
We are. I will get the random text messages that will be like, I love this. Please don't ever run out. Where people themselves are tuning into their changes in their body. And really, I think from those people, it's the ones that start slow. So they might add in one supplement every 3 to 7 days. And then they add in the next one, they add in the next one, which is a great way to do it, because then you can really see your response to that particular supplement. Now, we know, some supplements do take whatever you're taking. It might take 30 to 60 days to really notice the difference. But when people report back and they do things slowly and they can see those little glimmers of hope, and that's all we really want to look for is, do you see that little change? Because when you see that little change, that means it's going to keep going and it's going to catapult into bigger changes as we move through those months. So yes, we absolutely have gotten text messages, emails from patients saying, oh my God, this is what I noticed immediately. And it could be, I've definitely seen the pain aspect. I've seen the energy and the brain fog. And then I've heard reports from actually my assistant that you gave her C60 for her dog, like immediate turnaround. Like 3 to 5 day turnaround in her dog from adding C60. So I think that's kind of cool too, when you have someone add it to a family member or a pet, which is for a baby too. And they can see the changes in the person or the animal that they gave it to. That's really eye-opening, because they're noticing that huge change where sometimes you don't notice it in yourself, but you notice it in other people.
It sounds like for thyroid, you mentioned some of the common challenges: having too much weight, needing to lose weight, hair loss, the fatigue, the energy. Do you have a preference for the folks that are struggling with weight? Do you tend to recommend the MCT oil, or is there one C60 product that is preferable to you over the others?
I probably should be recommending the MCT oil over the others, just because of that aspect of MCT actually helping with weight loss and helping push someone into ketosis. So that's actually a really good point. But I think in general, whenever we're seeing issues in the body, inflammation, it all stems from inflammation. Now, I'm not saying that, okay, I'm going to heal your thyroid just by taking down your inflammation. It's always done in conjunction with the right therapy, the right hormone replacement, whatever you need. But when you take down that inflammation, we know as practitioners, we know that the body works better. So thyroid specifically, if you're not converting T4 to T3, and we could list all the different things that increase reverse T3, but it essentially reverse T3 increases as a survival mode response in the body in response to inflammation. So it might be the xenoestrogens that we're eating. It might be the carbs and the sugar that we're putting down our mouths. All of that will push up reverse T3. Now, we know with the thyroid, if T4 does not convert to the active thyroid hormone T3, you're not going to lose weight. In fact, you're probably going to gain weight. So when you bring down that inflammation, when you use C60, put that into a protocol and bring down inflammation, yes, we do see weight loss start to speed up because the thyroid can work better, hormones can work better, detox pathways work better, T4 to T3 conversion works better. And then the whole system and the whole protocol that we put that patient on starts to blend and work together.
That makes sense. I'm curious, did you use C60 at all to support immune function, like especially over the last couple of years during the pandemic, getting the cold, the flu, the crud, the thing?
The thing.
Talk to me a little bit about your understanding of C60 for immune support.
Well, this is going to tie into immune support and back to the weight loss aspect. So one thing that we were seeing the last few years is weight loss resistance. And yes, we have the immune component. Absolutely. It starts with all the viruses and whatnot that have been moving around the last couple of years. And we see a lot of people with long hauler syndrome as well. So the symptoms will exacerbate, they'll continue, and the body really goes into this lockdown state. Whenever I have someone that has toxified their body, that has had an immune system blip, let's say from a really bad virus, we will incorporate that in because the end goal is to support the body system so that it can do what we were built to do. We were built to fight, right? Our immune system is built to fight off invaders. Our immune system is built to see toxins, chemicals, foreign things coming into our body, trying to shake up and change our body, change our DNA. Our immune system wants to target that and get rid of it. When you have these soldiers that really want to fight for you, you better feed them well. You better take care of them. You better support them, right? Because they're going to battle for you. And when you do that, and when you shore your immune system up, it's naturally going to do exactly what it's supposed to do. When the immune system is broken down, when it's confused, when it's not working for you, and when you're not supporting it, those soldiers are not going to work for you. And in fact, we're seeing an uptick in autoimmune conditions the last few years because essentially your soldiers are working against you. So as you support the immune system, yes, you are providing the soldiers with what they need to do their job correctly. You're also, again, down regulating that autoimmune response, that inflammation that occurs that kind of kicks those soldiers up. And then here we have an autoimmune attack. And then one more step is with the weight component. When you help the body get rid of what shouldn't be there, you are naturally lifting the veil so that weight loss can happen. And I've seen a ton of weight loss resistance the last couple of years. I am straight up with all of my patients that I tell them, listen, what used to happen where we would implement this protocol, bam, bam, bam. And yeah, you'll definitely start to see weight starting to come off 2-3 months in. You better just strap in and get ready for a long ride because it might be 12 to 18 months. But if we incorporate C60, if you do all the things, then you have a much better chance at it happening sooner than that because your body is working how it should be.
So the 12 to 18 month time period, is that because there's so much toxification in our environment and because of all the things that people put in their bodies over the last couple of years that have really done a number on the immune system, and now you're just trying to help them get detoxified and get through that in order to start building from the, a good foundation from ground up.
Exactly. And honestly, the 12 to 18 months is what we were figuring back in like 2021, 22.
Okay.
Now it's even a little bit longer. I'm seeing individuals that have went through a protocol in 2020, 21, 22, and they are still 2 years later experiencing weight loss resistance and just that total lockdown of their body. So it's kind of interesting to see as we move through the years here, what more comes out. But we know that this has to be part of that detoxification protocol. It has to be part of the immune supporting protocol if they have a fighting chance.
Okay, that makes sense. Amie, what would you say to your peers who might just be hearing this information for the first time? C60, while it was discovered in the mid-80s and the scientists that discovered it won a Nobel Prize in the mid-90s, outside of the scientific community, outside of the anti-aging community, outside of the biohacking community, it's still relatively unknown. So for your peers out there who might be skeptical, or like I said, they're hearing about this for the first time, what would you say to them about C60?
I would say dive into the research on it because there's a ton of it. We can see how it helps so many different conditions, and this conversation just scratched the surface. So I would say first dive into the research because that is eye-opening. And then next step is to kind of break out of the mindset, oh, it's on the pricier side, my patients won't go for it. When something works and there's that much research behind it, you educating your patients properly is what will get them past the cost hurdle. And they absolutely will invest in something that is high quality. And quite frankly, I would rather have my patients take C60, invest in that, than take these 10 other supplements that may or may not hit the mark, right? When you know something is backed by science like C60 is, you feel confident in using it. You start to see the results with your patients and with yourself. So that kind of builds the confidence even further each time. Each time you hear a story, each time you get a text, each time you see it in yourself. And then you realize like this is kind of a not all in one tool, but it's a many in one tool that you can start cutting out the unnecessary protocols or supplements that you put in that you're like, oh, well, I think this works, but let's give it a try. I'm not really quite sure. It's like, no, just use C60 and you're going to get the result a lot faster, which is going to ultimately end up a happy patient, right? Because it's all about the results and how they feel and getting rid of their symptoms, as well as improving their lab values. When you have a happy patient, you have a happy practice.
That's a great point. When you're talking to your patients about C60 for the first time, do you manage their expectations in terms of, in your experience, how you've seen how long it will take for the benefits to start to be noticeable?
We try. I mean, just like anything, right? We try to manage expectations on the whole journey of when you're going to see results. But ultimately, you'll always have people that want to see results yesterday or get frustrated after a week, and you just have to reset it. That's a big thing, I think, in anyone's practice listening to this is setting those expectations because, again, we know that things will take any supplement that you add in will likely take about 6 to 8 weeks. Now, that's not saying you're not double negative. Sorry, you're going to see a result sooner. You might. And I will tell patients that. I'll be like, listen, if you see some changes, don't discount them. Mark them down, write them down, and celebrate every little change that you see, every little spark of light that you see, that glimmer of hope that wasn't there before. But then again, just you got to have patience with everything that we do when we're rebuilding the body, when we're taking down inflammation, when we're shoring up the immune system. You got to have patience with that.
And so when you're managing those expectations, Amie, is it typically you say 6 to 8 weeks for you to start to see some results?
Yeah, exactly. About 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay, great. Good. Amie, I've really appreciated this conversation today. So thanks so much. Do you have any parting words of wisdom for our audience as they're considering whether or not to embark upon their C60 journey?
Well, yes. So we all know from being in this world that there's also good and bad companies, right? I mean, I've been in the supplement world since my 20s, really starting with, the bodybuilding supplements and all of that. And we know there are reputable manufacturers, there are people that put their name on a product and make damn sure that there is quality behind that product. And there's other people that really don't care where it's sourced from. It's making them money. And I think it's important to know what company you're connecting with and the reputation behind it. And honestly, that's what makes your company stand out to me. And, I know you on a deep level. I know your team. I know, the whole process. I have an advantage in that way. But anyone listening to this, you always want to give your patients the best, and you want to give yourself the best, right?
Yep.
So you want to make sure that what you are putting your reputation behind and what you are recommending to your patients or what you're giving to your family is a high quality brand. The results speak for themselves. You can't argue with it. It's not a placebo effect. You can't placebo affect a dog. So, I mean, all day long, right? And you can't placebo affect hair. It's either coming back or it's not.
Yeah.
And when, I mean, that's just the bottom line. So when you actually see the results from your product, I think that really speaks volumes, and it brings another layer of confidence to the whole equation of the recommendation.
I appreciate that, Amy. Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful conversation, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.